Hey everybody, it's Nate and Steph from Adventure in a Backpack. Today we are going to talk about how we make money. So this is part 2 of 2-ish on a little series that we're doing. The last video that you saw was basically how do we afford to make money on the road, and the methodology between why we're breaking it up between how we afford to live on the road versus how we make money is they're two totally separate things. Because if you need to make less money, if you spend less money, you need to make less money. And so the first one was all about like how we basically how we save money, and this one's going to be about how we make money. So the first one is honestly more important than this one as far as what is applicable to you. So yeah, if you haven't watched that one, be sure to watch that one. So do we jump right into it, I guess?
Yeah, let's preface this with the reason that this is not really applicable to everyone is because there's no one path to success. Like, what works for us isn't going to work for everyone, but we do want to, kind of give you an idea of, first off, what do we do? How do we get here? And maybe it'll spark some ideas, some questions that we can help out with. But yeah, like Nate said, there's no one path to success, and not everyone can and not everyone has the same background as us. Nobody has the same background specifically as us. So that being said, what do we do for money? So we do actually have our hands in a lot of different things. So I'm just going to start with my background and where
from the beginning.
From the very beginning, my very first job. Actually, my very first job was working in a horse stable shoveling horse poop. So
so contrary to popular belief on Reddit when we had a video going, we're actually not trust fund kids. So we need to So what was your first job?
I was actually working in a stable, shoveling. My job was to clean the stalls for pregnant mares. So that was my very first job.
It's a very trust fund kid thing to do.
Yeah, totally. I did have a horse, so that was, I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I guess that was technically my first job, although I didn't get paid for it. I actually traded for boarding and training my horse, my work. So that was actually a trade job, a barter job. My second job was, I was a waitress in high school at a Mexican restaurant in town, and then I worked at Toys R Us for one Christmas season. I don't recommend that. And then in college, so when I was in college, I worked at a bank, and I was a bank teller for my entire time in college. That was actually a really great experience for me because it kind of introduced me into the financial world, and got me more interested in business and that kind of thing. I actually started out my college career pre-med. So I was, my declared major was psychology, and I was in the pre-med program. I lasted 1 year in that, maybe one semester. I can't remember. 1 year or one semester pre-med. And decided I didn't want to become a doctor, so that was kind of silly for me to be pre-med. So I changed to business. Actually, I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew that the business school was the most difficult at Texas A&M to transfer into once you were already accepted into the school. So to transfer into the business school from any other school at Texas A&M, it was the most difficult to get into. So me always being up for a challenge, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to apply to business school because that's how I roll. I got accepted and then took a few accounting classes and actually really liked it. So I got my degree in accounting, and this whole time I was working at a bank, so accounting goes kind of hand in hand with banking. Actually, everything's backwards, but that's a different story. Anyway, so after I graduated, after I graduated college, I went to work for a tax firm. No, you're right, I didn't. I went to work, he knows my work history better than I do. No, I actually went to work for a restaurant group right out of college. And I only worked for them for 3 months. That's probably why I skipped right over that. I was just a staff accountant for a restaurant group. I absolutely hated it. I was like, what did I get myself into? Getting an accounting degree, and now this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. Like a monkey could do this job. So I continued looking for jobs while I was working there, and I found a job working for a tax firm. I got a job as a tax accountant, and I started out preparing individual taxes and quickly moved into small business taxes. And I really actually loved doing that. Ow. Sorry, your face was hilarious when I said that. I actually did enjoy doing business taxes. Every business that I worked with, I really got to know them, and it was quite interesting learning how all of these different businesses made their money and things like that. So that led very well into what I moved into next was business consulting. And so I worked in tax for a few years, moved into business consulting kind of at the same time, was working both jobs. It was with the same firm, so I was playing both roles as a tax accountant and small business consultant. So moved into doing that and really enjoyed that. Then we decided to uproot our lives and move to Denver. And I found a job working in the cannabis industry. So I was a financial controller for a cannabis company. Worked there for 2 years, and I loved doing that. That was great. Learned a lot about the cannabis industry. Learned a lot about, continued doing small business consulting as well, because I was the small business consultant for that company as well. And then that's when we decided to move into the RV and start this traveling life. And so now what I do for money, this brings it all back to now. Now what I do for money is I am a small business consultant. So I help small businesses specifically for business strategy and growth strategies. I write business plans a lot, do market research, that kind of thing. So that was a very, very long story of where I am today. Is I am a small business consultant. So I also write for Adventure in a Backpack and would love to get into freelance writing a little bit, but that's maybe a little bit down the road. And Adventure in a Backpack doesn't pay me yet.
Pays you in fun.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so that was my story. Nate, what's yours? What do you do for money? Start at the beginning. What was your first job?
Okay, so from the very, very beginning. So from the beginning, I was in child labor for a while. So my uncle, he owns a heat and air shop in a little small town that we actually met in. So he does like residential and commercial heating and air conditioning systems, and I worked there from like basically the time I could like essentially walk. Like I think there's pictures of me around like sweeping things whenever I was like 4. But like anyway, no, I actually started.
Throw Jaron under the bus.
Yeah, anyway, I think I actually started like my full like working there in the summers. Whenever I was probably 14, I started saving up for my first truck, and so I worked there over the summers. And basically, I helped out wherever needed. A lot of just as much manual labor as a 14-year-old could do. It was a lot. I actually like ran duct work and like helped people install heating and air and all that kind of stuff. Looking back, I don't even know, like, probably just got in the way more than anything, but I don't know, I learned a lot.
That's definitely a trust fund kid job.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I know one summer, I know me and I got 3 younger cousins, and I know they'll be watching and they'll appreciate this. One of the things is, like, whenever you go out and, like, heating and air, you get, like, old units that are trash, basically, and you bring them back, and so, like, they're, for one thing, it's a little bit more environmentally friendly to, like, recycle parts. Plus, you can sell all the metal as scrap metal, but it's better to, like, have all the different metals that are inside the air conditioners, divided up. So that was our job for the majority of a few summers, was basically taking air conditioners apart and putting, like, copper here, like number 1 copper here, number 2 copper here, tin here, and aluminum here, and, like, yeah. So that was a
sorting metal
character building job. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I did all throughout high school. I was doing that in the summertime. I worked at a like an oil change place during school one year, I guess, in my junior year. Did that for basically a year. Just oil changes and tire rotations and all that kind of stuff. Once I got into college, I started off as engineering, and so my education and Stephanie's education are 2 totally separate things. Like, she was almost a straight A student. I think you got 1 B in high school. I was a pretty solid, like, C student. Got the occasional B. I think I got A's in band most of the time. So there's, like, this. Once I got to college, I had a really hard time, like, honestly, because I was in engineering for the first year, and like calculus and
which, I mean, give yourself some credit. That's not, like, for somebody who's not that great at like school, to go into engineering probably wasn't the best idea.
Probably not. Yeah, and so it was. I struggled. It's one of those things that I struggled with, and so basically I got to the point. I didn't, like, fail out, but it was, like, to the point where if I kept going, I probably would have gotten to that point, and so I needed to change majors. So I changed majors. My dad was a firefighter. He was a career firefighter, and so I kind of grew up in that realm, and so Texas A&M has a really good fire program down there, and so I enrolled in the fire science technology program and did that. Got my associate's degree in fire science technology. I worked on an ambulance after I got my EMT during college, so did that, just like a transport ambulance job there. Immediately after college, I got a job on the Norman Fire Department in Norman, Oklahoma. I worked there for 4 years. On the side, something you never mentioned was real estate, because since we're talking about things that we do that we have done for money, we flipped that house. We bought. Yeah,
but we didn't make any money on it. That's really hard to say we made money on it.
Yeah, that's true, but that's something we did. We did for money, because that's another,
we rented it out. Yeah, it made some money because we rented it out.
That's another thing, like, we're kind of, like, hit on during this thing, is, like, we've done things that have made us money, and we've done things that have, like, we've poured a lot of time and effort into that have really not made us any money. And then there's stuff that we've done that we poured lots of time that have lost us money. So we had a house in Oklahoma City that we were living in. Then we bought another house, bought it, put some money and a lot of time into, and flipped it. And then
we didn't exactly flip it. We renovated it, and then we rented it out for 2 years, and that's where we made the money. We rented it out for 2 years, and it brought in good rent. And then we sold it for almost exactly what we had spent on it in total. Yeah. So the 2 years worth of rent actually was income for us, but buying it and selling it, we didn't make any money on it.
Yeah.
Lesson learned: properties in Oklahoma really aren't flippable.
Yes. Yeah. So we did that. Like I said, the fire department for 4 years. So after we decided to move to Denver, to get closer to the mountains, get closer to all of these outdoor activities that we love, we kept our house that we were living in, and we rented it out for a year, I think. For about a year. Mm-hmm. We kept it rented out for about a year. It was like through a rental management company, and I think that's the only way you can do that from, like, afar. And so we kind of dabbled in, like, in like rental properties, which made a little bit of money, but kind of. But anyway, this after we got to Denver, I was trying to get a job on the fire department up there. In the meantime, since fire department hiring cycles are so spread out, I opened a gym. I got that up and running. It was like the strength and conditioning gym, just basically out of the garage. Very entrepreneurial spirit. So I had a really good time on that. Got it making money. And then like, I'm not going to talk about it very much in this video because it's kind of like chases a rabbit down a hole I don't want to go down in this particular video. But changes were happening in our life, and so sold the gym. Moved into a different house, a smaller house, and then that was in this like whirlwind of a kind of a bad time that right before we moved into the RV. And we'll talk about that in a later video somehow. We'll somehow try to find a way to talk about that. It's part of our life. But we moved into the RV. So we moved into the RV, and I was trying really hard to get the blog up and running and making money. She was starting out her small business consulting, and then something I started doing that I kind of picked up on over time. So this is my first like time that like I'm not really using my degree. I'm not really doing any kind of fire science, like actively pursuing any kind of fire degree. I started helping out with her clients doing like web design and social media marketing, and the one that I really was enjoying and had the most success in was like search engine optimization. And what that is basically when you go to Google, I can make different things rank higher for different search terms, is essentially what that boils down to. I feel like I'm missing things, honestly. I'm so like spread out right now.
I know. So going back to this whole like, we dabble in a lot of different things, so it's very difficult for us to say what we do. I actually, as you were talking, I realized that I forgot to mention a big part of how I got to where I am. While I was working as a tax accountant, I actually went back to school and got my master's degree in business administration before I moved into business consulting. That's actually a pretty important piece, so I wanted to go back and mention it.
Yeah. Okay, so like with Stephanie's business consulting, that's what I do. Basically, I do all of that stuff I just mentioned for her clients, basically. Yeah, pretty much. So within the last, let's see, how long has the videography thing been taking off? That's been fairly recently.
Just a few months.
Just been really, really recently. So, we realized that my videography was getting better and better. I actually enrolled in an online videography class that I've been taking through. And if you're watching our videos now, you'll notice that they are significantly better than they were whenever we started our YouTube channel. And that's really not even pouring all the editing that I do into client videos. So that has been one thing that I've started making some money in, is basically shooting videos for clients in the outdoor adventure industry, because not only am I a videographer, I'm a videographer who can repel from something or chase somebody while skiing and holding a camera or running or all this other adventurous stuff that we do while operating a camera at the same time, and then all the editing as well. So that is what has been taking off here recently, and something we've been really focusing a lot of time in. She's been doing the business strategy behind my videography business, which is really fun, and I am in so much debt right now because she keeps sending me invoices, but So anyway, I think that, are we caught up like to where we are now? Basically we need to let's talk about adventure in a backpack, because that's another thing. They're like, oh, you guys are bloggers. You must make, you make so much money off of blogging. And
yes, I wish we could say that was true. And maybe in the future we'll be making more money at it. But right now, adventure in a backpack as a whole doesn't make a whole lot of income. We make some money on YouTube. So you guys watching this right now on YouTube, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do make a little bit of money there, and a little bit of money, let's see, like affiliate affiliate links. So
Right.
so anytime we like recommend a product or anything like that, if it is something that we can put an affiliate link on, we'll get a small cut of the commission if somebody buys that. That being said, like, it doesn't make us very much money at all, and at the moment, Adventure in a Backpack is just barely breaking even. So everything that we spend,
Finally breaking even.
finally break.
I
We
think.
have poured so much money into it, and it's finally starting to break even. On how much we spend on, you know, things like website hosting, and, you know, I can't even think of what we.
Well, yeah, I mean, so
I
like,
should know this. I'm a financial person. But.
yeah, so like website hosting, the domain names, which that stuff's, you know, relatively inexpensive. The one of the more costly things is just the Adobe Creative Suite.
Yes.
So what I use so like Photoshop and Adobe Premiere, like what I use to edit all of my videos, you know, that's a cost. What else is a cost? A lot of our licensing stuff. So all of the
Yes.
music that we use, we have to pay to have it licensed.
Yeah.
There's some other, just some of the products that we use, like to keep all of our different social media channels like organized and streamlined, because you'll notice that we actually get back to everybody if you comment on our stuff. We really try to stay on top of like interacting and commenting, and so we have some software that we pay that helps us
Keep on top of it.
keep
Keep
on
it
top of it,
organized.
so that we don't have to jump back and forth in the platforms. It's just in a small streamlined package. So there's different costs associated with this thing, and it's just costed us so much money. It's not like so much. It's costed us, all that stuff just adds up over time. Costed?
You said it
Costed.
twice.
I said, C student, remember. Okay, so yeah, all that stuff just adds up over time. So yeah, we're finally breaking
Yes,
even
we are
on that.
finally breaking even. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to go back to right now. So the things that we currently do right now to make money.
If you're looking for it. Oh no, this isn't a sales pitch.
No, this isn't a sales pitch at all. We do business consulting. We do, and that encompasses SEO and all of that. Social media consulting. We do videography. We do Adventure in a Backpack. And we have a rent house. We do still have a rent house as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a couple $100 a month. So those are the things. What did I say? 5?
5 or
I
6.
think those are all of the things that we do for money, as far as I can remember at the moment. That being said, I'm going to step on a soapbox for a second, because there is a reason that we do not ever publish our income reports. And we will never publish an income report, whether it's for Adventure in a Backpack or for our business Portage Consulting or for our own personal anything. We're not going to publish an income report. And the reason for that is because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we bring in gross. It matters that we are able to cover our expenses for living in the van and for running our business. And it's not applicable, our gross income is not applicable to any viewers. Anybody who's watching this is not going to be able to replicate exactly what we do. What is applicable to you is the expenses, our personal expenses for living in the van. That's what a lot of people have asked about. That's what matters to most people, and that is what is able to be replicated. And so that's what we publish. We will tell you everything that we spend for living in a van. And the soapbox here is that there are so many bloggers out there that publish their income reports and say, you know, I make $100,000 a month blogging and I'm so rich, you should do it too. You should buy my course to do it too. Whatever it is. But what they don't tell you is how much they spent in order to make that $100,000 gross income. If they spent $95,000 to make $100,000, they don't ever tell you that. And so it's completely, that gross number is completely irrelevant to everyone watching, and it's just something to make them sound like they know what they're doing. But again, me being from a financial background and I'm an accountant and I'm a business consultant, it makes no sense. So I'm never going to do that for you guys. I'm never going to do that to you and tell you, you can be just like me and make, whatever, $100,000 a month, and not tell you that I spent $105,000 a month to get that $100,000 and I'm actually losing money. We don't know that about these bloggers who publish those income reports. We don't know how much they spent. They could be losing money every month and everyone just buys into it. So let me step off of my soapbox and yes, we'll leave it at, we will never publish an income report because it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Expenses are what's, and that's the other thing is it's personal expenses. We also won't share like what we spend on Facebook ads or like to do. Right. I mean,
yeah. As long as we're covering our personal expenses, then that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Because there are so many ways to make money out there. It's like, this is the way that we do it. And it's not, we have no intentions of putting out a course on how to make money on the road.
No.
We really don't.
I will give one tip for, I think this is my only tip for making money on the road. Maybe one or two tips. We can make this a top two tips.
Top two tips
of how to make money on the road.
Top 2 tips for making money on the road.
My first one is go to Upwork.com.
Oh yeah.
And I have no affiliate link for Upwork. I'm not being paid by them. I just actually use Upwork. Go to Upwork.com and look at what freelance freelance jobs are available out there, because everything on Upwork is freelance, and it's like 95% remote jobs. So, and there are things from writing to business consulting to accounting to
photo editing.
Video
editing.
There are so many different things on there. So I feel like
voiceovers. Pretty
much anyone at any skill level can find a job they are qualified for on Upwork. So that's my number one tip. Is just go and look to see what's available out there. And then the second tip is ask your boss. If you already work in an office and already work in a job. Now, granted, if you're a firefighter or if you're a waitress, those are really hard things to do from afar, unfortunately. But if you're somebody who works in an office already and you think that you may be able to take your job remote, there is no harm in asking. Ask your boss if they would be willing to do remote work. So there you go.
Take action.
Right. Take action.
Take action is the biggest thing. You have to figure out what works for you. Figure out what you like to do. Figure out what works for you, and see if what you like and what works for you will somehow make you money. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. You're going to find things.
Yeah. Exactly. You'll find something that will make you money, and you will find something that will bring you happiness, and that if you are passionate about taking your life on the road, you will figure it out how to make it happen.
Yeah, we don't really have anything. That's pretty much the end of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my exactly 2 tips on how to take you.
Perfect. All right. So I guess we're going to close it out. So we're going to have some icons popping up on the screen. One is going to be to our van life playlist, all the tutorials and everything like that. The other one is going to be
those are actual tips on how to do it.
Yes, the actual building a van. And then the other one's going to be for our blog. So check that out. It's kind of an index on how we built the van. And then lastly is a subscribe bubble. Also, leave us questions and comments. Questions specifically. What else do you want to see? What questions do you have about making money? All that kind of stuff. So leave those in the comments below. So
absolutely.
All right. Until next time. See you.
Bye.